Good morning, friends. We want to start this session today. We were talking on Anapanasati sutta, mindfulness of breathing discourse. I think you can see the topic, and in Pali, I don't think you try to read Pali because it is very difficult for you. I read it for you just to hear, and then I give you the translation in English.
Bhante, good morning. We can barely hear you.
You cannot hear us? Hear me?
Yeah, your voice comes across a bit fainted.
What is that?
What are they saying, Bhante?
Huh?
What are they saying?
They cannot hear me.
It's just not loud enough. That's all. The volume is just not.
Volume is not loud
That's
enough.
all.
The volume is fine for me, Bhante. I wonder if it's that person's computer.
Ask now if it's okay.
Okay, I'll check.
Can you
How
hear?
is it now? Hello?
Yeah, I'm checking, Bhante. Okay.
I can hear you good. Very good.
Okay, it's okay, Bhante. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay. Maybe your volume may be low. Okay. There's a question about impermanence. In the last tetrad of Dhammanupassana, mindfulness of mind objects or state of Dhamma, there are 4 steps and 8 steps and 4 pairs.
Bhante, excuse me, your volume now is a little bit lower. Whoever was fixing your volume turned it down a little bit.
Quite a bit lower, Bhante. It's quite a bit lower, the audio from you.
Again, he said lower, volume is lower.
I think now they should.
How is it now?
That's great, Bhante. That's good.
That's good?
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. The question is Kena Tena Anicca. In what sense do we call something impermanent? Udaya Vayatena Anicca. In the sense of rising and falling, something is called impermanent. And then the question is how many characteristics can we see in rising of the 5 aggregates, and how many characteristics can we see in falling of the 5 aggregates? We can see 25 characteristics in rising and 25 characteristics in falling. Altogether 50 characteristics we can see in both rising and falling of the 5 aggregates. Now these are somewhat confusing for many people who are not familiar with these terms, but I like to elaborate a little bit, and also I want to cite the discourses, explain these things in detail. So for that, let us go to the next slide. That is, okay. So impermanence. There are 5 aggregates. Rupe anicca asasati sikati. In the discourse we see seeing impermanence, I breathe in. Seeing impermanence, I breathe out. What is impermanent? The form. Let us go to the next slide. Okay. Contemplating impermanence in materiality. I shall breathe in. In the discourse itself, we don't see materiality, but it simply says, seeing impermanence, I breathe in. Seeing impermanence, I breathe out. When we say seeing impermanence, there has to be something to be impermanent. What is that something? That something is, could you close the door?
It's close.
That something is nothing but 5 aggregates. So we have to think when we say, seeing impermanence I shall breathe in, we must understand that seeing or contemplating impermanence in materiality, form, or then seeing, contemplating or impermanence in materiality, I shall breathe out. So when we see impermanence of the form, we breathe in, or seeing or experiencing impermanence in form or materiality, I breathe out. Some people use the word form, but this translation is better, materiality. Materiality means something that is composed of 4 elements: earth, water, air, fire, elements. And this, the word form doesn't express that meaning. Therefore, materiality would be better. When we breathe in the breath we see materiality. So, contemplating impermanence in that materiality, I shall breathe in. Contemplating impermanence in materiality, I shall breathe out. And then contemplating impermanence in feeling, I shall breathe in. Contemplating impermanence in feeling, I shall breathe out. As I said earlier, feeling also is not mentioned in the discourse. It simply says, seeing impermanence, I breathe in, and seeing impermanence, I breathe out. What we see there is feeling. When we breathe in, we feel the breath. And that feeling is impermanent. Seeing that impermanent, I breathe in, and seeing that impermanent, I breathe out. Similarly, perception. We perceive, mentally we perceive the breath. While perceiving the breath, impermanence in the perception, I shall breathe in. Seeing or experiencing, contemplating impermanence in perception, in feeling, in perception, I breathe out. Then formations. Formation means volitional formations. Because otherwise, if we simply say formations and use the word form for the first one, materially, there will be confusion. In order to avoid that, this formation should be understood as volitional formations, thought. So contemplating impermanence in the volitional formations, I shall breathe in. Contemplating impermanence in volitional formations, I breathe out. And then consciousness. Similarly, contemplating impermanence in consciousness, I shall breathe in. contemplating impermanence in consciousness, I breathe out. We have to insert these words in our meditation practice. Then go to the next one. We say seeing characteristics of rising. We see 25 characteristics. The falling we see 25 characteristics in each of these aggregates. For example, we mentioned materiality, characteristics of arising. You can see in Pali, avijja samudaya rupa samudayo, tanna samudaya rupa samudayo, kamma samudaya rupa samudayo, ahara samudaya rupa samudayo, nibbatti lakkanang passanto rupakandasa udayang passati. I mean, this is the meaning of that. With the arising of ignorance, there is the arising of materiality. With the arising of craving, there is arising of materiality. With the arising of kamma, there is arising of materiality. With the arising of nutriment, there is arising of materiality. And one who sees the characteristics of rising, sees the arising of materiality. The characteristic of rising, we can see, earlier we saw, when something is changing, that shows the beginning, and that comes to peak and pass away. So in that trio, beginning, middle and end we can see. But one who sees the beginning, characteristics of rising, sees the rising of materiality. And this applies to every aggregate. Now this is the first 5 or the first aggregate of materiality here. Second 5 is these feelings. Down this. I'm sorry. Okay. We discussed this. Then next one. Cessation. Okay. Avidya nirodha, rupa nirodho. Tanna nirodha, rupa nirodho. Kamma nirodha, rupa nirodho. And so, and ahara nirodha, rupa nirodho. That means characteristics of cessation. With the cessation of ignorance, there is cessation of materiality. With the cessation of craving, there is cessation of materiality. With the cessation of kamma, there is a cessation of materiality. With the cessation of nutriment, there is a cessation of materiality. One who sees the characteristic of cessation sees the fall of materiality. Now let us spend few minutes on this in order to get hold of it more clearly. Rupa, yeah, we discussed Rupa, okay. We go to this one first again. Arising of ignorance, there is arising of materiality. Ignorance is of what? Ignorance is ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. When we are ignorant of Four Noble Truths, we do all sort of things to arouse material, the form, material form, rupa. We don't understand the nature of materiality, nature of rupa. Rupa is subject to alteration, afflictions, because it doesn't have overall lordship to control the materiality. And therefore we keep doing it, keep supporting materiality through various means, and especially without knowing the Four Noble Truths. When we know Four Noble Truths, we don't perpetuate materiality. Whatever is arisen in material form will come to an end when we pass away after attaining enlightenment through full understanding of Four Noble Truths. And therefore, so long as we are not, we are ignorant, not understanding the Four Noble Truths, in various ways we support materiality and it keeps arising. Similarly, craving is, when the craving arises, there is a arising of materiality. That is very true through food, drink, and so forth. The behind all these things is the desire, craving. And therefore, as long as we feed the craving, we feed the materiality. So materiality arises. And again, karma that we have committed in the past, in this life, as well as in previous lives, causes materially to arise. And with the nutriment, very obvious, there are four kinds of nutriments: material food, contact, thought, and consciousness. These are called nutriments. Ahara, Kabalinkara, Pasara, Manosanchetana, Vijnana. These are the four kinds of nutriments. And these as long as we bring these nutriments through our craving, through our karma, through our ignorance, we cause materiality to arise. And then one who sees the characteristic of rising, sees the rising of materiality. Now this is very subtle. This seeing here means seeing with wisdom, seeing with mental eye, not fleshy eyes. We have fleshy eyes to see materiality, to see outside, inside, but we don't see them rising. When we see them with wisdom, the characteristic of rising, then we see the rising of materiality. Now, cessation. Of course, it is quite obvious with the cessation of ignorance, cessation of materiality, and so forth. Now here we have 5, including the last one, this one who sees the characteristic of cessation, and so forth. There are 5. So For the arising there are 5 causes, characteristics. For passing away there are 5 characteristics. Altogether 10. Now, these 5 apply to all the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volitional formations and consciousness. So, let us see the feeling, Vedana. Similarly, with the arising of craving, there is arising of feeling, Vedana. With the arising of karma, there is arising of feeling. With the arising of ignorance, there is arising of feelings. With the arising of nutriment, there is arising of feelings. One who sees the characteristic of arising sees the arising of feeling. The same formula that we mentioned earlier, we can see here. And then next one is the cessation, the same thing. Cessation of feeling. When with the cessation of ignorance, feeling ceases. With the cessation of craving, there is cessation of feeling, and so forth. You can see. With the cessation of karma, there is cessation of feeling. With the cessation of nutriment, there is a cessation of feeling. Now, even for feeling, there needs to be nutriments. What is the nutriments of feeling? Contact. When there is a contact, feeling arises. So the feeling, contact is the nutriment for feeling. As we mentioned earlier, among 4 aharas, 4 foods, first is material food, second is contact. When contact arises, feeling arises. So, therefore, contact is the nutriment for feeling. With the cessation of nutriment, there is a cessation of feeling. With the arising of nutriment, there is a arising of feeling. One who sees the characteristic of cessation sees the fall of feeling. When these characteristics, ignorance, craving, karma, nutriment, cease, one who sees this, that person sees with wisdom the cessation of feeling. And again, these 5 apply to all the 5 aggregates. So, then we go to the next one. After feeling, we have perception. Same thing. I think it is redundant to repeat it in explaining these things, but I think you can see them on the screen, and also you can use your common sense to see the way how this goes. Last one is cessation of consciousness, or arising of consciousness. With the arising of ignorance, there is a arising of consciousness. Formations, then arising of consciousness. And with the arising of craving, there is arising of consciousness. With the arising of, here is a little mistake, we have to correct it. Arising. Okay. You can see that. Okay. One who sees the characteristics of arising sees the arising of consciousness. The same as before. Similarly, cessation.
මේ අපි හෙට යනවානේ.
Huh? Okay. Now, after that, you can see this list. In respect of each single thing in the following groups, we have to apply the same thing. So you can see, thousands of ways of seeing rising and falling in various 6 internal sense bases, 6 external sense bases, 6-fold consciousness group, 6-fold sense impressions, 6-fold feeling group, 6-fold perception. I describe some of these things. And 6-fold craving, 6-fold applied thought, 6-fold sustained thought. Let me mention what these are. 6-fold perception, perception of through the what you call form, rupa sanya, saddha sanya, gandha sanya, rasa sanya, pottabha sanya, perception, that is perception of form, perception of sound, perception of smell, perception of taste, perception of touch, and perception of mind object. 6-fold volition means thought of form, rupa sanchetana, thought of sound, saddha sanchetana, thought of smell, gandha sanchetana, thought of taste, rasa sanchetana, thought of touch, pottabha sanchetana, thought of mental objects, dhamma sanchetana. And then 6-fold cravings, that is rupa tanha, craving for material things, forms, craving for sound, craving for smell, craving for taste, craving for touch, craving for mind object. And 6-fold applied thought. What are the 6-fold applied thought? For applied thought of form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind objects. And 6-fold sustained thought also are the same. Form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind object. In Pali they are called Rupa Vitakka, Saddha Vitakka, Gandha Vitakka, Rasa Vitakka, Pottabha Vitakka, Dhamma Vitakka. Rupa Vichara, 6-fold sustained thought, Rupa Vichara, Saddha Vichara, Gandha Vichara, Rasa Vichara, Pottabha Vichara, Dhamma Vichara. Then 6 elements. What are the 6 elements? Earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, and consciousness element. The space element called Akasa Dhatu, consciousness element is called Vijnana Dhatu. Then 10 kind of kasiness, starting with consciousness and so forth. And then we go to the next one. Okay, 32 parts of the body. Everyone knows it. We will discuss this 32 parts of the body in another lecture, not in this series, but just remember there are 32 parts of the body, or the body divided into 32 parts. Then the 12 internal and external sense bases, again we mention them. 12 internal sense bases are chakku, what do you call, sota, ghana, jiva, jiva, kaya, and mind and their respective object. 12 internal and external sense bases. That is for the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. Internal 6 and their respective object. Form, sound, smell, taste, touch and so forth. Then 18 elements, starting with sense desire. 18 elements are Chakku Dhatu, Rupa Dhatu, Chakku Vijnana Dhatu. 3, that is eye element, form element, eye consciousness element. Then ear element, sound element, ear consciousness element. Nose element, smell elements, nose consciousness element. Tongue element, taste element, tongue consciousness element. The body element, touch, tangibles elements, and body consciousness element. Mind element, mind object elements, and mind consciousness elements. So altogether there are 18. 9 kinds of existence. I think these are not very common. People normally don't know them unless they study that particular section in Dhamma. These are the 9 kinds of existence. Sense desire becoming, that's called kama bhava. That means where one can experience things through senses, through these 6 senses. That is a human world, animal world, divine world, and so forth. These are called kama bhava. Bhava is becoming. So one becomes a being in one of these places. They are called kama bhava. And then find material becoming, rupa bhava. That means when you meditate, attain jhanas, first 4 jhanas, they are numbered. Number 1 jhana, 2nd jhana, 3rd jhana, 4th jhana. And then you die with the jhanic experience and be reborn in realms where your meditative state continues. That is called rupa bhava. Immaterial becoming, that is arupa bhava. That is called Santa Vimukha in Pali. That is temporarily mind liberated from hindrances and you experience peace, Santa. The first 5 material becoming is called Ditta Dhamma Sukha Vihara, experiencing happiness in this very life. Second is Arupa Bhava, where you experience peace, total peace. There are 4 stages. They are called Akasananchayatana, Vijnananchayatana, Akincanyayatana, Nevasanyana Sanyayatana, perception of infinity of space, perception of infinity of consciousness, perception of nothingness, perception of neither perception nor non-perception. These are the 4 Santa Vimukha peaceful experience. You can get this only through the practice of meditation. Then perception of becoming, sanyi bhava. That is, you have a perception and your materiality would be very insignificant. And non-percipient beings, there are beings who don't have a perception. Everything else is there. Then neither perception nor non-perception, I mentioned it earlier. That is neva sanya, na sanyi bhava. Then one constituent becoming, ek vokar bhava. There are beings who have only consciousness. They don't have any materiality. They are called ek vokar bhava. Four constituent being becoming, that is, there are four aggregates. One is missing, consciousness is missing there. Then five constituent becoming, panchavokara bhava, that is human life. We have all the five faculties to experience various things. And then last one, four fine material, four fine material jhanas, we mentioned that already, and four mind deliverance. For mind deliverance is called Brahma Vihara. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. Loving friendliness, compassion, joy, appreciative joy, and equanimity. These four are called Brahma Vihara. They are called Brahma Vihara because here the word Brahma means the best or highest or purest. Vihara means living. When we practice these four very diligently, repeatedly, then our life becomes very pure, very noble. Therefore, they are called mind deliverance. For mind delivers from greed, hatred, and delusion temporarily. And if we cultivate it more intensely, these themselves can be an object of liberating ourselves from all samsaric suffering. Because when we practice these four Brahmaviharas, we understand, this is sometimes called metta in Pali, sati, mindfulness. In Karaniya Metta Sutta you can see etang sating aditteya, practicing this mindfulness. It is called mindfulness because we have to be mindful of suffering, our suffering and other suffering. Suffering is a subject that is very deep and profound. We understand on the suffering superficially. When we understand it deeply, we can see how profound it is. When we practice metta, we address all suffering beings in various forms, without any restrictions. That is called mind deliverance, ceto vimutti. Then 12 links of dependent origination, we mentioned them several times, starting with ignorance, volitional formations, consciousness, then contact, feeling, craving, clinging, grasping, and then birth, decay, death, sorrow, and so forth. All these are 12 links. Here we see, we have mentioned them: ignorance, formations, consciousness, materiality, mentality and materiality, sixfold base contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, old age, and so forth. These are the 12 links of the dependent origination. Now friends, we can apply those 50 characteristics for each of them. This is a very, very deep, very large, details. All nitty-gritty things are there. And that is the talk on this mindfulness of breathing. There is a last section. The last section, I have not made any slide for that. Last section is the section that deals with attaining factors of enlightenment by practicing mindfulness of breathing. When we practice mindfulness of breathing, we attain the factors of enlightenment, or we develop the factors of enlightenment, 7 factors of enlightenment. We start with mindfulness of breathing, end up with true knowledge and liberation. Before that, we have 7 factors of enlightenment. So we will discuss. Perhaps next week we can start with the how 7 factors of enlightenment can develop through the practice of mindfulness of breathing. With this, friends, I want to end this morning's talk, and I want to start our meditation. It is very short time we have. Okay, now let us begin our meditation. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds, whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long or large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth. May all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. You see, one should develop this mindfulness, is repeated in this Metta Sutta, discourse on living friendliness. Keeping that in mind, we continue our meditation. When we ring the bell, we end the session formally But those who like to continue meditation, they may do so. Okay? By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish, may I join always with the wise, until the time I attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering, may the fear-struck be free from fear, may the grieving be free from grief, so too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Friends, even though we ended meditation formally, you may continue your practice as long as you like. Since we have other impending commitments, I end it here. So wishing my regular metta wish for all living beings, especially those who are suffering in hospitals, taken care of by doctors, nurses and hospital staffs. May they recover very soon and return to their normal life and continue their Dhamma practice and attain liberation. May those doctors, nurses and hospital staffs who take care of these people, may they continue their wonderful service and practice Dhamma and be liberated from samsaric suffering. May those who have lost their loved ones, maybe still they may be grieving, may they be free from grief, return to their normal practice and continue their Dhamma practice and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. May those who are in various troubled spots, in wars, discriminations, poverty, and so forth, may they somehow find peace and have comfort and solace and have time for them to meditate, and may they practice Dhamma meditation and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. May everybody be well, happy and peaceful and liberate from samsaric suffering. And thank you for coming and participating in this Dhamma practice. Okay?
Sadhu,
Thank you,
sadhu.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you,
Irwan
Bhante.
Saranai.
Irwan
Irwan
Thank you,
Saranai.
Saranai.
Bhante.
Okay?
Thank you.
Good health, long life.
May the devas protect you.